Hey YouTube, RicoKnows here. So the fans reached out and said, hey Rico, what's your reaction to this particular interview? Now, last night I did a 2-hour interview with Colorado fans on Twitter in the Colorado Spaces. It was pretty cool. And we brought up this topic and we talked about it. So here we got Shedeur Sanders doing an interview with the Denver Buffs. Shout out to those guys, DNVR Buffs. They're doing an interview. It's obviously Super Bowl, Las Vegas, media week. And they're asking Shedeur Sanders about last season, and Shedeur starts talking about the offensive scheme. And he talks about how he wasn't really comfortable in the offensive scheme and some of the issues with it. And I'll tell you guys my assessment of all this. But first, let's play the interview so you guys can see what he had to say, because I don't ever want to paraphrase. And then I'll tell you what I think about the information and what Shedeur is saying. So let's go.
You got a great receiver coach. They're going to do everything they need to do. We got great OC, Coach Shermer. He's going to do everything. Like, there's no reason for it to not succeed. You got the linemen, you got the relationships, you got everything. That's the biggest thing, to really be out there and caring for each other and not really having no hate on the team. That's the biggest thing. There was a lot of times last year where we had choice routes and different stuff like that, to where it's just like, it messed up. I can't anticipate anything. I got to make sure you're doing, you get what I'm saying? So now, a half a second holding it longer, even though sometimes I like, nah, they got back there fast. I'm like, Like, I never blamed anything on the lineman, because it's just always something I could have done better. But the indecisiveness on knowing what they're going to do, because of that just wasn't my style of play, I'll say. Yeah. That just wasn't my style of play. I like definite things. I like to be the one everything falls on at the end of the day. If it don't work, I'd rather be, you know what I'm saying, my fault didn't work, or I made the wrong read, rather than them making the decisions, them doing it. I don't like all that.
Because you can look out there and say, all right, I know what I'm looking at, and I know what, we got this dig coming in backside or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I got to be able to count on that, because I know I can buy enough time to get it.
I don't need this to be a dig or a post. You get what I'm saying? Because it's going to, is he going to dig or is he posting? Am I tripping? Am I seeing it right? What type of balls is it going to be? Is it going to be a 2-ball? Am I going to put him on? Like, you know what I'm saying? It's too many variables of that type. I don't like having all the variables. I like, this is it. Y'all going to do this. And I see stuff in the way I see it. Not nobody else the way I see it. So that's why I like Coach Sherman and stuff a lot, because he understands how I see it, because he dealt with a lot of different, NFL caliber quarterbacks, that everybody sees things different in the NFL. So we can relate a lot.
All right. So he says he doesn't like choice routes. He says this is what led to a lot of the sacks last season, and obviously the offense is different this year. So let's start from the top. If you don't know what a choice route is, that means a receiver comes to the line of scrimmage, has to read the defense, and change his route. You have a couple of options. Are you running a post, or are you running a post corner? Are you running a slant? You're running an out. You're running a dig, you're running a curl, or a comeback. Now, if you don't know the route tree for wide receivers, there's always something going in or something going out. There's two, opposing sides of every route. Now, if you get an option as a receiver, and you line up on a particular play, you go out and you look across the defense and you read it. You say, is this man or is this zone? That's going to dictate the route I run, or the type of route I run. Is this press? Is this, what's the down and distance? A lot of things will dictate how you run your route as a receiver. I can remember telling you guys that when you run your route, the other thing that's going to dictate your route is your quarterback. How's he going to throw that route? Like, he just told you, is it a 2 or do I got to put it on you? What he's talking about is cover 2. I might have to fit it in a window. I might have to throw it over the top on a safety. You change the way you throw the ball based on the coverage. Now, usually in an offense that Shedeur Sanders is used to playing in, it would happen that he would read the defense and make his decision. But when Sean Lewis showed up from Kent State, Sean Lewis said, we're going to do something very complex. We're going to do something very NFL level, which is we're going to read the defense together. You read it and the receiver reads it, and then you both change the route. That enables anticipation throws. That enables you to win every single rep, because nothing the defense does will be the right answer, because you will always have the right answer as an offensive player. But what you hear Shedeur say in that interview is, I had to hold the ball half a second longer to see if the receiver was going to run the right route. That is not how you do choice routes. Nope. The way you do choice routes is you make your pre-snap read and you let it rip. You throw that ball with anticipation to the spot the receiver's supposed to be at. But we know Shedeur would never do that. Shedeur is all about being proficient and efficient with the ball. He's not going to put it in harm's way. He's not turnover prone. He actually doesn't even throw incompletions. He would much rather just hold it, take a sack before he tries to guess where you're supposed to be. Now, I don't say guess. I shouldn't say guess because it's an educated guess on both their parts. But you can't run this offense without, I would say, years of implementation, continuity, development, and you got to have an immense amount of trust in your receivers. Now, if you have receivers who are running the wrong route because they read the wrong choice or they didn't read the defense properly, well, then you can't succeed. I want to tell you, when I watch film, Jimmy Horn Jr. looks like a guy who read the wrong route multiple times, ran the wrong choice route. And if Shedeur is holding on to the ball until a receiver is open to throw it, well, that's never going to work at the NFL level. That just doesn't. This is the problem I had with Clayton Tune last year. Why everybody was saying, well, Clayton Tune's amazing, Rico. I'm like, yeah, but I watched the film. He only throws it when Takedale's open, man. That's the wrong answer. That's not how you play quarterback at the highest level. If you think playing quarterback is about throwing the ball, like lacing it, throwing a spiral, then you've severely misunderstood what it is to be a quarterback in the NFL or at the highest echelon. Because being a quarterback is about managing the play clock. It's about managing the play call in the huddle. We've seen quarterbacks struggle at practice. They can't even call the play. And if you add different elements to the quarterback position, as you add the different elements over and over and over, you start getting away from just identifying people who can throw a football. Throwing a football is part of the criteria of being a good quarterback, but it's not the only one. If that was the case, we'd have a bunch of great quarterbacks. There are only 32 quarterbacks in the NFL, 32 starting quarterbacks in the NFL, and 10 of them, 12 of them are absolute trash? That means only 20 people on the planet Earth can do this job at any given time. 7 billion people, only 20 people can do this job to a level at which they meet your expectations. It is a very difficult job. And part of the job is anticipation throws, reading defenses, and there becomes a time when you expect your wide receivers to do the same, and that gives you the advantage over the defense. So let me explain this. I want you to think of New England Patriots. I used them as an example last night. I'll continue to use them as an example because they are the bona fide living proof that if you can do choice routes, you will be successful. This is why the receivers like Brandon Tate didn't work out, but Julian Edelman did. They both got drafted in the same draft. I think Edelman went in the 7th round. Tate came out of North Carolina in the 3rd round and never panned out. Chad Ochocinco, you can sign a free agent with New England. You're not going to get a rep, bro, because you can't read the defense the same way Tom Brady can. And as long as your receiver and your quarterback read the same thing, you have an infinite advantage over the defense. But at no time would Tom Brady ever sit there and wait to see if you're open. He's just going to throw it where you're supposed to be. And if you're not there, you're not a New England Patriot wide receiver. So instead of banking on your offensive scheme being correct, they said, to hell with that, man. We're going to get rid of our scheme and go find a scheme that is more conducive to our quarterback. Let's put everything on him. Like he said, he wants to be the one to make the read. So now you call an offense with no choice routes. You call an offense and you go to the huddle and you say, all right, 3-5-6, whatever that means. That means outside guys running a slant, inside guys running a curl, the slot, and then you got the tight end running a damn drag, whatever. You do all these route combinations and you predetermine them before the snap of the ball. They come out the huddle, ready, break, and now you've got receivers capable of running full speed, run your route to the best of your ability. They don't got to read anything. They don't have to guess anything. They just have to run the route. And Shedeur Sanders will read the defense, make his decision, and make his throw. Everything's on him at that point, and that's what he likes. I'm telling you, that is a cool way to play quarterback. That is not an NFL way to play quarterback. It used to be. It's gradually segueing itself out, And you're getting to this level where you need to change the scheme every week. You need to adjust to the defensive read you make. This is why in the NFL there is no snap like in a hurry. Like they just don't do it like that anymore. They stop, they read the defense, quarterbacks calling audibles. Guess what? Receivers are running choice routes. So I think this hinders Shedeur Sanders' pro potential, or at least where people are going to want to sign him. Certain offensive schemes and certain NFL teams will shy away from a quarterback who talks like this. But it's probably a good idea that Shedeur voices it out loud for everyone to see, so he doesn't end up in a circumstance or in a system where he can't succeed. So this will tell certain GMs, scouts, coaches, hey, Shedeur's not on our draft board, or hey, we need to get him and be cognizant of the fact that he has limitations in this regard. He only wants to be the one processing the information. The greatest advantage you will have is when you find a receiver who can read the defense equivalent to your quarterback, because then the two of them can get on the same page, and that's when you start seeing the the overwhelming chemistry between a wide receiver and a quarterback. It's because that wide receiver is doing choice routes and finding the open space, and the quarterback knows where he's going to be and can throw with anticipation. Shout out to Scotty Miller, who went from being a nobody to being one of the biggest names in Tampa Bay because Scotty Miller could do choice routes with Tom Brady. As long as you can read a defense along with your quarterback, you're going to be straight. But if you're not on the same page, and look, you can't create this continuity in 4 months, 5 months of spring ball, which is what was the expectation from Sean Lewis at Colorado last year, which is just probably not realistic, especially for some of these young kids. Look, and somebody said, well, Rico, we got Florida wide receivers, man. They ain't all that bright. They just fast. I won't go there. I think that receivers are bright. I think that certain receivers are brighter than others. And I think that they can understand it. I remember talking to Caleb Mathis. We were doing an interview, and I was talking to him, and Caleb was like, I said, hey, man, what do you guys tell the offensive line? They suck. They're struggling. He goes, Rico, we don't even have to talk about that kind of stuff, man. Everybody knows what the problem is. There's no hate on the team, as Shedeur said, no hate in the locker room. There's no hate. We just know, everybody knows what the problem. They know they're the problem. But choice routes should be the solution to that problem, because you can let the ball go sooner because you know where your receiver's going to be. If you don't throw with anticipation and choice routes, and you hold the ball to see where it's going to, you're going to end up with over 50 sacks, which is what happened, right? You're not going to be as great as you think. Now, Shedeur Sanders, statistically, looked great last year in an offense he wasn't comfortable with. I think that's a testament to how great he is as a player, the talent he has, the arm talent he has. But if you want to just rely on him to process and make the reads and make the throws, let's see how successful that is this year. I will tell you that the only problematic thing there is defensive coordinators will learn your scheme, they will learn your route tree, they will learn your plays, and they will trick you. They will trick you into throwing interceptions, throwing plays. So if Shedeur Sanders is the only one making the read, has to trust his eyes and let it go, I hope he is better than the opposition that is trying to stop him, because he's not throwing against air. He's not throwing against people who don't adjust or react. But choice routes is an NFL level, I guess, trait and skill, and I hope at some point he trusts his wide receivers. Let me just tell you this entire interview right here, real talk, when I hear it, it feels like a very tactful way to say I didn't trust my wide receivers. I didn't trust what they were about to do. I didn't trust what they read. I didn't trust what they were about to run. I had to see it first, and then I would throw it. And if that's the case, we need to find other receivers that he trusts. And you can say what you want, and you can interpret it however you'd like, but this is my take. I'm RicoKnows, and your friends don't know, but Rico knows. Stay up, y'all. Peace.